I'm now going to demonstrate how to examine the hand in the context of an open injury. The hand is clearly very vulnerable to injury from cuts and wounds, and it is very common to divide important structures like tendons and nerves. Unrecognized division of nerves and tendons is a very common cause for negligence actions against accident and emergency doctors. So you do need to learn to examine the hand properly to ensure that nothing within the hand has been injured by a knife wound. Again, we kindly have a simulated patient here, and we will assume we have his permission. Again, I'm going to demonstrate first and then explain it. Just relax your hands, if you would, and just let them rest there. Just let them go completely loose and floppy. That's it. Now don't move anything, I'm just going to move your wrist. Relax your hands and fingers. That's it. Okay. Right. Now will you please bend your wrist up like that and hold it there. Relax. Bend your thumb down and hold it there. Bend the tip of this finger. And this one. And this one. And this one. Okay. Now I'm just going to hold these fingers out. Will you please bend that one? Just that one. Okay. Relax. Now that one. This one. And this one. Okay. Now, can you feel me touching you there?
Yes, I can.
Does that feel entirely normal?
Yes, it does.
And this exactly the same as this one?
Yes.
And exactly the same as the other side?
Yes, it does.
Yeah. And this, is that normal?
Yes, it is.
And here?
Yes, it is.
And here?
Yes.
And here?
Yes.
And here?
Yes. Yes.
And here? And here?
Yes.
And, okay. Now, will you please hold your thumb there? Stop me moving it. Good. Okay. Can you just lift your finger up towards the ceiling? And push this little finger sideways against my hand. Okay. Now, would you please make a tight fist with your fingers? Bend your fingers into a tight fist. And straighten your fingers out now. Okay, do that again, please. And straighten them out. Okay. Right, thank you very much. Now, can we turn the hand over? Will you pull your thumb up towards you? Hold it there. And relax. Now put your fingers on the table like that. Please lift each finger up in turn, as if you're banging a keyboard. Okay. Right. Thank you very much. Now just straighten that little finger out. And this one. And this one. And this one. Okay. And can you feel here?
Yes, I can.
That feels quite normal.
Yes, it does.
And here? And here?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you very much. Right. I will do that again, explaining exactly which structures I was checking at each stage. Thank you. We will confine ourselves to one hand, the injured hand. Right, just relax. First of all, look closely at the resting hand. In a normal hand, relaxed hand, all the joints of all the digits are slightly flexed, and the thumb rests at right angles to the fingers. If one of the joints is suddenly completely straight, it is likely to mean that the tendon to that joint is divided. Because the resting position represents the balance in tension between the flexor tendons and the extensor tendons. If in a resting hand I flex the wrist and I lengthen the extensor tendons of the fingers, you will notice that the fingers straighten out. If I just leave it relaxed, leave it floppy. If I bend the wrist backwards, the fingers will tend to pull in and straighten and bend. So this is passive. It's a very useful way of detecting tendon injuries in a small child who can't cooperate with testing. Now, specifically check the tendons for activity against resistance. So ask the patient to pull the wrist up and check that you have flexor carpi radialis, palmaris longus, and flexor pollicis ulnaris, flexor carpi ulnaris are active. Relax. Then check the activity of the flexor pollicis longus tendon. That is the tendon which bends the end of the thumb. So bend. Can the patient bend the tip of the thumb against resistance? Then check the deep flexor tendon, that's flexor tendon flexor digitorum profundus, to each of the fingers in turn. Can the patient bend the tip of the index finger against resistance? The middle, stabilizing the middle phalanx as you do this, and the little finger. Flexor digitorum superficialis can only be tested if you put profundus out of action, because both of them will flex this joint. I put profundus out of action by holding all but the finger I am testing, the fingers straight. With the other fingers held straight, ask the patient to bend that finger. Now he can bend the PIP joint, but he cannot in that position bend that joint, because profundus will only act on all four fingers together. For FDS, to that finger, right, relax, to this finger, and to the little finger. Very often, you do not have a superficial flexor to this finger. Test his other hand as well. And this one. So he does have, it doesn't work very well, but he can bend the PIP joint of all those fingers. So I have now tested all the tendons on this aspect of the hand. I'm now going to check the nerves. Sensory nerves, we have the median nerve and the ulnar nerve. So the median nerve supplies the thumb. You want to test both sides, both digital nerves, to the thumb. And you must ask the patient not just whether they can feel it, but whether it feels normal. So can you feel that?
Yes, I can.
And does it feel absolutely normal?
Yes, it does.
And here?
Yes.
So feel the autonomous area of each digital nerve, that's each side of the pulp of each finger, for completely normal feeling. Then test the motor function of each of those nerves. The median nerve, you test abductor pollicis brevis. Hold your thumb there, stop me moving it. Feel and see the muscle contract. For the ulnar nerve, you want to test the first dorsal interosseous. Turn the patient's hand over, pull your finger up towards the ceiling. Here is the first dorsal interosseous contracting. And abductor digiti minimi. Pull your little finger sideways, hold it there. Abductor digiti minimi is functioning. So I have tested the nerves on this aspect of the hand now, and the only thing left to test here is the arteries. Remember, you have a radial artery and an ulnar artery, and this test you will remember from the cardiovascular system is Allen's test. Ask the patient to make a tight fist to squeeze the blood out of the hand. Put one thumb over each artery and compress them. Ask the patient to extend their fingers, and you've removed the blood supply from the hand. Remove one finger from the radial artery and there is immediate reperfusion of the hand. Repeat it, but clench fist. Two thumbs, straighten out. Straighten your fingers out. And I now release the ulnar artery. So both of those arteries are intact and are supplying the hand normally. Then turn the hand over and again check all the tendons, then the nerves on the back of the hand. So bend the wrist backwards, hold it, and I can test the extensor tendons of the wrist. Relax. Lift your thumb up and I can test the extensor tendon and the abductor of the thumb. And then straighten out the tip of your thumb to test extensor pollicis longus. The extensor tendons of the fingers only work on the ones that extend a flexed finger, otherwise you're just testing the interossei. So ask the patient to bend the fingers up and then lift each one up as though banging a keyboard. And you can see that's using these extensor tendons. Then check that the extensor tendons to the distal joints are working by holding the metacarpophalangeal joints flexed and checking that the patient can straighten these joints, the PIP and DIP joints of the fingers. Okay. The nerves on the back of the hand are the radial nerve supplies a small area here on the first web space, and the dorsal branch of the ulnar nerve supplies the backs of these three fingers. So again, I have now tested each of the structures on the back of the hand. Clearly, with experience, you can test only those structures which are vulnerable to a particular injury or wound, and you can certainly test only the structures that are distal to a wound or an injury. But if you get into the habit of checking everything, then at least you won't miss something. Thank you.